What's up, everybody? My name is Vincent. Welcome to Cryptolution, where we talk about everything under the moon in the crypto universe. Today's Saturday, January 10th. And yes, in today's Saturday video, I actually have to make this video because I've been spotting a lot of things happening within the charting of DOG on multiple different exchanges. And what we're going to focus on are these large wicks that have actually occurred over the past week. I just saw one yesterday, and I want to explain to you what I'm seeing, what this potentially could mean for the DOG price. And this is why I want to share this with you, is because these wicks don't occur out of nowhere. They kind of signify what could possibly happen in the short term or near future. So I want to dive deep into it. Let's break it down. Let's not waste any time. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to join us on X. Please be careful with ANS gamers down in the comments below. I'll never reach out via WhatsApp, Telegram, direct messaging, or email. So please be careful and invest safely. Guys and girls, let's get right into it. So as you can see, DOG is up roughly around 1.36% at around 142 million market cap. Now, has anything happened to Bitcoin's price? No, Bitcoin has not gone up or down. So really, DOG is just kind of reacting by itself. As you can see, this is DOG over the past week. DOG is outperforming many of the blue chips. Look over the past month. DOG is actually doing just as well as Pepe. And remember, Pepe was one of the very first movers in the meme coin rally that we just had recently. But let's look into a closer look on the ranking. DOG right now is at 195. Now, it is up 1.35% over those past 24 hours, but I want to dive deeper into the charting analysis. Let's get right into it. Let's focus on BitGet. Okay, so BitGet right now, if you've noticed, this was roughly around January 9th. Now on January 9th, we saw this random wick that just kind of occurred. And this wick actually hit roughly around 150 million market cap out of nowhere. When this occurred, I actually wanted to see what the other exchanges were seeing on their charting. So then I went over to Gate.io. It's very different because on January 9th, we saw that there was a larger wick, roughly around 165 million market cap. Now I'm going to go ahead and move on to Kraken, which is actually quite interesting. There were two very large wicks. There is one roughly around $178 million market cap, and one just as of yesterday, which is 159 million market cap. Now we're at a current price point of around 142 million market cap. Now, another thing I want to focus on, look at the market orders on DOG on Kraken Pro. On the left-hand side, you'll notice that some of these large orders are priced in to set a buy order roughly around 111 to 112 to 130. So the lower the list goes, you'll see that the lower the price point that these people want to buy, meaning massive buy orders on these lower price points, which makes sense. But notice the massive buy orders compared to the sell orders. And this is what I want to talk about. Now, in terms of charting on TradingView, what have I noticed here? So this is the exact same chart that we're seeing on Gate.io. And I like to use Gate.io as a great chart because Gate.io actually has listed DOG ever since it was basically live in April of 2024. So I want to talk about this specific pattern right here, this specific thing that just happened as of today. Now, this wick actually expresses a lot of different things. So we actually saw a massive buy order that either happened on Gate.io, it happened on Kraken, or it happened on BitGet. It doesn't really matter. Basically, we saw that there was a massive buy order, and it could be from retail traders or whales for that matter. But this was not market makers, believe it or not. This is actually retail buying in. But when the daily close happened, you can see that there's a large wick, but there is a daily close. That close usually is a market maker. So market makers typically, what they do is they want to make sure to close that candle as low as possible so that they can buy back at a cheaper price. And these market makers, by the way, aren't just people. This is usually bots. But what's important is how it closes, meaning it closed on a higher low, meaning it didn't close below this candle or it didn't close below this candle. This candle is above both of these. So what we're seeing is a higher low daily close candle, which means that the market makers are now pricing in another higher low that could happen at any point in time. And I want to point out something. So BitMax has a website called Dog Data. And dogdata.xyz shares with you the wallet distribution between long-term holders and short-term holders. And recently, we just found out that 75% of people that hold DOG held over 155 days, and they cover the majority of the holder supply. So that means there are 75.5% of diamond hands holding dog, while there are only 24% who are short-term traders that don't hold with 155 days but hold less than that. Now, this does not account for exchanges, meaning this model was based off the UTXO models on Bitcoin L1. So this will not account for the amount of wallets that are in each exchange because each exchange holds that data privately. They don't share that publicly. And that's why dog can still sustain a higher low and a higher low and a higher low. So what I'm seeing here is that really the resistance level that we have currently right now is actually right here at 168 million market cap, or 165. So that's a new resistance level, and that's actually really good. So the fact that we're seeing market orders being placed at really high peaks, and also that the daily close formed a higher low, this just goes to show that retail is buying as much as possible, and market makers aren't purposely trying to suppress the price. They're just trying to get it at a cheaper price point so that they can actually make more money. That's how market makers work. They basically want to not only make more money, but they also want to push the market forward or downward. It's really up to them. It's really up to the bot. Market makers and the bots typically are very positive or negative for crypto, but nonetheless, we need market makers with the exchanges, and the exchanges hire these market makers to do the work for us. So I want you to pay attention to one thing, which is the RSI. Now notice that when the yellow line started curving upwards, it's roughly been around 10 days that started. So 10 days ago, this yellow line started trading upwards up until today. Now remember this is 10 days that this has happened. Now let's look into the past. So back over here in April, you saw that this yellow trend line started going upwards. And when that occurred, the price point roughly went from 100 million market cap all the way to close to 390 million market cap. And that lasted 34 days. Different from 10 days, meaning that we have more days to come that could lead up dog going upwards. Now remember, when this yellow line did top off, it did not mean that the dog price stopped going up. In fact, we just saw one major pullback, which you saw in the RSI, and then another pump to the upside. And then we met roughly around a 560 million market cap. Now let's go further back. Now this happened roughly around September of 2024. So this is the very bottom line right over here, which occurs right with the dog price. So this roughly, when it went from the bottom to the top, that took 31 days, okay? And that went from roughly 200 million market cap to roughly 500 or 600 million market cap. And as I mentioned before, just because it met at that peak did not mean that that was the top. In fact, the dog price kept going up to a new all-time high. Now let's look in the very first event that ever happened. Now this is dog's RSI, the very bottom to the top, that took roughly 15 days. And you can see what happened to the dog price when that occurred. And that roughly went from 200 million market cap to 980. So remember, the yellow line has not peaked yet. It's still climbing upwards. And look at the MACD. The blue and orange line are still in the buyer's market. And it may be there for some time because it takes a long time to get to the buyer's market. I mean, look at these three different trend lines over here, okay? This one took a very long time, roughly like 4 months. This one took roughly around 5 months. This one took around 6 months to get into the buyer's market. And every single time we get into the buyer's market, we're always seeing the price of dog go upwards. So we're now seeing the very early stages of dog in a bull rally, and I guarantee you not many people on crypto Twitter are even paying attention to dog. That's usually how it works. The 99% usually focus on other meme coins because they're so distracted with what crypto Twitter is saying about Solana, Ethereum, BNB, Cardano, that no one thinks that dog is actually going to go up. And that's the whole point, is that the 99% are going to miss out on this. But I just want to point this out because these large wicks, these long wicks, are sharing with me something very cautious, which is dog price could move very violently to the upside. Now, the dog price could trade sideways and break out this yellow trend line. That's very possible, but it doesn't mean that dog price couldn't go up. But to me, this is just something that I'm just paying attention to. I want to report this on a day-to-day basis. The charting analysis only shows with me what could happen today, but it could change tomorrow. So as always, I'm very bullish on dog. Listen, I don't know what could happen in the overall macro landscape of crypto and even in real life markets and global macro events, but this is just what I'm seeing on the charting today. And I just really wanted to share this video with you on a Saturday, knowing that I'm busy, but I just thought it would be a disservice not to share this with you because I think it's something you should do your own research and pay attention to, because all these exchanges from BitGet, Gate2IO, Kraken Pro have all had these very large wicks in different periodic times. And to me, That's retail buying in, market orders being fulfilled by market makers to close on higher lows, which is very positive. And so that means there is something that may happen very soon. And I just don't know what that's going to be. So again, let me know your thoughts down below and your predictions, and I cannot wait to read them. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to join us on X to receive all of our alpha calls and updates regarding Dog and Moon. Till then, see you guys girls next time.